Opportunity, some say, comes only once, but I don't believe that. I believe opportunities arrive at our doorsteps many times throughout our existence. For OKC, I believe the window of building a championship contending team has presented itself again. Although it's only been 16 years, 2007 seems like 50 years ago when a young Kevin Durant got drafted into the NBA by the then Seattle Supersonics. I wasn't even a teenager yet, and the iPhone still looked like this. After drafting Giddey in 2007, OKC drafted Westbrook and Serge Ibaka in 2008 and then James Harden in 2009, all within a 2-year span. It would have been easy to guess they would at least become all-stars in the NBA, maybe even make a couple All-NBA teams, but little did anyone know that they would go on to win a joint 3 regular season MVPs, 9 scoring titles, lead the league in assists 5 times, and make multiple All-NBA teams throughout their career. The Giddey-led OKC team, although a young team, rose to become a threat in the West. Between 2009 and 2016, they made the conference finals 3 times and the NBA finals in 2012, where they lost to LeBron's Miami Heat. After the finals loss to the Heat, the team began to break up. First up was James Harden, who left in free agency to join the Houston Rockets. Then Giddey and Ibaka both left in 2016 to join the Warriors and Orlando Magic respectively, leaving Ross as the last man standing to lead the team. OKC never really found much success with just Ross, never going past the first round and never finishing higher than the 4th seed. Westbrook left in 2019 to be reunited with James Harden in Houston, ending what could have been a dynasty. Right now, we can only imagine what could have been if they all remained in OKC during their prime years, but it's best not to live in imaginary land. A lot has changed since that time up until now. Serge Ibaka is now a chef, James Harden has grown a beard, Ross is now the triple-double king, and Giddey has become one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. But change has also occurred in Oklahoma. This is the current OKC roster, one of the youngest teams in the entire NBA. I will highlight the players who are widely agreed upon to have the best ceiling: Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, Luguentz Dort, Jalen Williams, Jalen Williams, and though we are yet to see him play, I'll add Chet Holmgren to this list. That is 6 players who have shown the potential to be great. Add to this that they also have 15 first-round draft picks in 5 years, and you have a team well positioned to have a successful rebuild. I'm not 100% sure that OKC wins the championship in 5 years' time, but I do believe they can make deep playoff runs and maybe even win the whole thing if everything works out for them. I know you're probably thinking, but the same can be said of the entire NBA. That's true, but Oklahoma City Thunder are in a unique position. Last season, OKC won 24 games. At the beginning of this season, ESPN projected they would win 27 games and finish as the 14th seed. Although to be fair, ESPN took into account SG and Chet's injury. However, OKC went on to win 40 games, 5 games away from being the 4th seed in the West, but enough to finish as the 10th seed, winning 16 games more than they did the previous season. I know this isn't much for a team that wants to win the NBA championship, but I'm one of the few who believe they had a very good season, and this is enough for a team that is rebuilding to become contenders in the near future. For OKC to have the chance of a run at the NBA Finals, 3 things have to happen. Number 1, injuries have to be at a minimum. Number 2, continuity/growth of players. And number 3 is that little bit of luck. Think about it, every team that has won the NBA championship flew on the wings of these 3 factors. Even teams that became dynasties had to depend on them. Anyone who has followed basketball enough knows that injuries sometimes play a role in why some teams win the championship and why others do not win the championship. Up until this moment, some fans and pundits doubt that Golden State could have won the championship in 2015 against the healthy Cavs. There are those who question the validity of the Raptors championship in 2019 because Klay and KD got hurt. But the Bucks have won the 2021 championship if Kyrie and Harden didn't go down. Some even say the Warriors would have fallen to the Grizzlies if Ja had not gotten hurt in Game 3 of their Round 2 matchup. While these are hypothetical and what-if arguments, there's some truth to them, but then injuries are a part of the game. In the last couple of years, NBA stars more than ever have been experiencing multiple injuries over the course of the season. Just in the 2023 playoffs, we have seen Giannis, Tyler Hero, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, and Kawhi all get injured. These are all-star caliber players. Amongst the players who made the all-star games this season, they played an average of 64.6 games. The players who are grayed out played below the average number of games. Most notable is Zion, who missed 53 games this season. On one hand, this is terrible news because the best players in the league miss an average of almost 17 games. But on the other hand, it means that your best players only need to play about 60 games with impressive performance for you to have a shot of at least making the playoffs. Luckily for OKC, they don't have to be too bothered about injuries as their best players are mostly on the court. Of the 19 players who featured for OKC in the regular season, they had 7 players who played in over 60 games. Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, Luguentz Dort, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Trey Mann. Each of these players are not what we would call injury prone. But then, there's Chet Holmgren. Chet got drafted with the number 2 pick, but he is yet to make his debut for the team because of an injury he suffered during the off-seasons. There have been scares on how well he will be able to cope with the wear and tear in the NBA, particularly because of his skinny size. Unlike other big men in the league like Giannis, Embiid and Jokic, Chet is more built like KD, a player with length but lacking in muscle mass. There have been comparisons between him and other 7-foot big men such as Greg Oden, Yao Ming and Sam Bowie, who never reached their perceived potential because their careers were either shortened or greatly dimmed by injuries. But like all things in life, there's a bright side. If fate favors Chet, he could end up like Embiid or Curry, players who had significant injury woes early on in their careers, but moved on to become not just all-star caliber players, but NBA League MVPs. Embiid even missed his first 2 seasons, so all hope isn't lost for OKC to be able to have Chet on the floor with Josh and SGA. It's no coincidence that OKC won 60 more games this season, with Shai making an all-star appearance, getting nominated for Most Improved Player of the Year award, an award he should have won in my opinion, and averaging 30 points per game in the regular season. This is because player development is necessary if a team is to make a run at the NBA championship. Player growth is a process that requires 2 very important factors: great player talents and the right coaching staff and front office. These are components OKC seem to have. Along with a young and smart coaching staff, 14 of OKC's 17 players are less than 25 years, with 9 of them being 22 and younger. This means they have not just the talent, but also the time necessary to develop said talents. It is highly unusual for NBA teams to draft players who immediately make them title contenders. For example, while Michael Jordan was already a very good player in his first season, it took 3 years for the Bulls to get past the first round, because while developing their players' individual skill set, they still had to build team chemistry between MJ, Scottie, Grant and the others. This has been the pattern for teams that make championship runs, most particularly dynasties or teams with multiple championships. Development is a process no team or player can skip. Think about the Warriors, the Spurs and the Bucks. Even the Celtics with Brown and Tatum are a great example of building a championship contending team through player development, growth and continuity. For OKC, Shai and Giddey has proven to be a great backcourt duo, with Chet showing signs of greatness during the Summer League last year, putting up a 23-point and 7 blocks game in his Summer League debut. But they need all 3 players to buy into the program of development in Oklahoma and actually put in the work needed to get where they need to get to. Outside of growth and continuity, history has also proven that you need just a core of 2 to 3 great players with a couple of really good role players to build an amazing team that has depth. This is something OKC can pull off, but getting their players to buy into the program is easier said than done. I once heard Kobe say that the reason most NBA players never get to win a championship is because they don't work hard enough. In his words, they come into the NBA, become millionaires and take their foot off the gas. Recently, Pat Bev said that many NBA players do not even love the game of basketball. Outside of injuries, a lack of heart and hard work is what separates really great players from those who turn out to be busts. I'm sure you can think about a player or two who were crazy talented but never made it too far in the NBA. And the reverse is also true. Nikola Jokic was a 2nd round pick and he already has 2 MVPs. Draymond was also a 2nd round pick and he has 4 championships. It would absolutely be in the benefit of OKC if SGA, Josh, Chet and a couple other players get as committed as KD and Ross were for the Thunder. Another advantage of having all of this young talent and multiple draft picks to spare is that OKC could make a well-calculated trade for a win-now player. They could decide to build around SGA, trade Giddey, Chet and some first-round picks for an All-NBA or All-Star caliber player. Or the better option in my opinion would be to trade some of their role players with some first and second round draft picks for a solid starting veteran player who would bring much needed maturity and leadership into the locker room. But the gamble of trading your future for a win-now player doesn't always work out. Ask the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Clippers. You could end up selling your birthright for a bowl of stew. Some of the best teams in the league today have a roster that took time to build, such as the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, the Warriors, the Celtics, the Bucks, the 76ers, and even the Kings. Besides, I don't think OKC are in such a tight spot to be the best team in the NBA in 2 years. So this would be an alternative they should not be too fast to explore. Then there's luck. You need luck to win in the NBA. The Warriors were lucky that Steph Curry got passed on 6 times in the 2009 draft. The Bucks were lucky KD Stowe was on the 3-point line when he hit this dagger.
He turns, he shoots, yes! With 1 second remaining! 1 second left!
The Raptors were lucky this shot from Kawhi got in. I mean, seriously, how many times does a shot like that go in after dancing around the rim for that long? The Bulls were lucky Jordan's injury in his second season was not more catastrophic. I could go on and on to mention cases where it wasn't the tactical superiority of a coach, but the supreme skill of an athlete that won a game. Sometimes, it's just sheer luck. Everyone executes to the best of their capabilities, and luck tips the scale for one team. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone wins the championship playing based off just luck, but in my opinion, you don't also win without getting lucky at some point, or as some say, without fate being on your side. So if you enjoyed this video, kindly like, subscribe, but most importantly leave a comment down below and click on any of these cards on the right to watch other videos I think you would find interesting.